Good afternoon, everyone. It's time to begin with our literary session. The session is titled Task of the Translator, and we have people from different languages who've been working in different languages as part of the session. So I would like to invite our panelists one by one on the stage. Our first panelist, Nora Shea Momin, author of 90 Seasons, a poetry book co-authored with two other poets, Thera and Marina, published by Half Baked Beans, and she has contributed to two anthologies, The Great Indian Anthology and A Jar of Letter, published by the same. Previously worked as social media strategist and copywriter in Delhi and Gurgaon, currently taking up projects as freelance translator for various government and non-governmental agencies. Please welcome her with a huge round of applause on stage. Our second panelist is Dr. A.W. Rani, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Synod College, Shillong. Our third panelist is Dr. Kashinath Chakrabarti, Professor of Bengali Department, Shankardev College, Shillong, has been awarded the Best Bengali Short Story Writer 22-23 for his story Rosa of Stalingard by the Ram Mohan Library and Free Reading Room, Calcutta. He's the first writer from Northeast India to have been recognized by the esteemed institution. Moderating the session, we have Avner Parriott, who you have seen way too many times on this stage. A poet from Shillong. Can we have a huge round of applause for him as well?
Check. Thank you so much. As Akanksha said, I've been seen too many times on this stage in the last few days, but it's always been delightful occasions every time that I've been on the stage. I'd like to welcome all the panelists to this esteemed panel, because I think it's a very crucial topic. It's a very important topic to talk about, particularly in the context of a very diverse and multilingual society that India is known for. It is becoming much more clearer every day that communication is very vital. And one of the main ways we can communicate effectively is through translation, being able to translate both our words, our thoughts to other people. And you know that, of course, that's a political statement, but also at the same time, on the front of the literary, there's also, you know, this need to have collaborations, to always be talking, to always be in conversation. So I think that is one of the reasons why this panel was created, so that we can have this communication amongst us and maybe open up collaborations also further later on amongst you and as well as other people who are watching this. So we'll get right into it. I want to ask each one of you, I'll ask a general question and then you can all respond accordingly. So what inspired you, Mr. Kachi, to be a translator?
I'm actually not a translator. Though I did my MA in linguistics from Guwahati University, I had a full paper, 100 marks, on translation, Naida's theory and all the things. So later on, I just joined, not in linguistics department, but in Bengali in Shankardev College. So again, I just completed one short-term course from North Bengal University, West Bengal, Siliguri, and did on translation. I'm basically a writer, and at the same time, yeah, in some cases, I'm a translator also, but I have not published anything. But of course, I'm a good reader because when I write in Bengali, particularly, I also know Assamese very well, so that's why I just try to write something from Assamese to Bengali, just because I have written one thing over there only. If I get the chance, then I'll describe that one. That for us, already you have mentioned, India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnical state. So in a country like India, where so diverse city is there, we need translation. Why? We need each other community particularly. If we don't know other community, then there will be mistrust among ourselves, and it will hamper our unity and diversity. So for the basic thing, for the unity and unity of India, I think I should say, translation works a very vital role. And here I just put emphasis that we just should support translation, and through translation, we can come to know other community, other people, other culture, other religions, other food habit, others, all the thing. What is going on in Manipur? Mistrust. So that is the thing only, no. So through translation, through literary works, through music, through all the things, when we come to know other culture, other people, other community, then our unity will be strengthened. That's the thing.
Hello. Thank you, Avner. To answer this question, I think I would attribute it to the fact that me being an avid reader has a lot to do with picking up translation, because it sparked my interest first when I got translation projects. So that was around the time when I was still an undergrad student, and I had received a project for translation. So working on it, gave me the interest that the need to be understood, the need to bridge the linguistic barriers of people who speak different languages, the between communities, and to bring about relationships, to make connections. I felt translation was a very vital role. Translation played a vital role in bringing about that connection. And also, when I read stories from my own place pertaining to the customs and traditions, I also wanted other people who speak different languages to be able to understand and to read and to know more and learn more about the culture and the place that I come from. And also, I wanted stories that I learned from other culture. I wanted people of my own place to be able to read and understand them. So this building interest in working with translations brought so as to say, it sparked further interest. And from there on, I started working more and more on translations. Also, one inspiration was my own father, who works with the English department. I had read quite a lot of his translation works, which were quite personal to him, and I kind of would like to, I don't think he's even aware that I read through the translations. So that created the interest in me further, and from then on, there has been no looking back since.
Check. Hello. Good afternoon, Abner and my fellow panelists, and also, of course, to our audience friends here. I would like to convey my gratitude to National Book Trust for organizing this panel discussion today. And I would like to thank them particularly for having me here, having the trust and the confidence in me. In fact, I have to make a disclaimer out here that I am not basically a translator as such. But I'm honored to be here, but at the same time, I'm afraid whether I will be able to do justice to the subject at hand or not. But I'll try to share a few things that I have as far as my experience is concerned. First of all, as I have told you, Abner, I am not a translator, but I have done few translations. Basically, most of the translations that I have done is basically for the media publications. I'm doing it for my friends in the form of press releases and even articles that has come up in different local dailies I used to do. The one translation that I have done, which is a bit more comprehensive, is the Supreme Court ruling with regard to the court case of the village of Nong Trai versus Lafarge Company, with regard to that Lafarge Company there in in Bangladesh, basically Chatak, but then the mining took place in Nong Trai village. Basically, they lost that court case, but then I get the translation done. It is a 100-page document. That one is there, but it is not a published document. It is just for the circulation to the village elders and the people and all that I have done. Besides that, I am not engaged much in the translation work, but I am also currently helping one of my friend. He is basically based in Lao So Tun. He got a project work, some kind of a project work, where somebody from Assam, I do not know exactly from Assam or Calcutta, they are doing this online translation of this Khasi language. They are trying to have it in the form of online dictionary for the Khasi language. So he is basically from a commerce background, does not know much about Khasi literature and all that. So informally, he has engaged me in that process. So there I am in again. And as I have told you, every now and then I used to do translations for my friend. When my friend is here, right here. Last night only he gave me a message that I should translate one piece for him. But I denied, and sorry, but Hamlet, I could not do that. Okay? So currently now, I have been asked to do one more translation, and I'm working on that, and perhaps I will share it with you later. You may need it. I am translating the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India into Khasi, because the district council elections will be coming up next year. So I thought that this important piece of the Constitution should be available in the local language. People should be able to see it and all that, no? So I'm doing on that project now. It is a bit lengthy, and I have to be very careful also, because there are so many technical details that we have to be very careful when we do the translation part. But of course, with certain notes and all that, because doing a literal translation will be very difficult, especially when we involve the constitutional language and all that. So that is my experience, Abner, and I hope that serves the tone for the other questions to follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is exactly why we called all three of you, because you come from various interests, and some of you are literary, some of you are in more with legal matters. And this is actually the task of the translator, right? There's so many avenues to explore and to convey. I want to inquire, since now that we have got the ball rolling, how do you approach the process of translation, right? Supposing you were confronted with something that you had to convey from Bangla into English, or in Khasi, Garo into English. How do you put yourself in that state of mind? What are the strategies that you adopt? We'll start with you, Mr. Kashi.
Hello. Regarding my experiences, I can tell that suppose, as already you came to know that I got a prize from Calcutta, and for the first time from the Northeast in India, but the story based on the Second World War, the Stalingrad, the Rosa of Stalingrad. So it is totally on Second World War. So one of two stories are there I had written. One is Yakuja's mother. Yakuja's mother, the story is based on a Khasi lady and her son. Her husband was a Japanese, and she settled down over there in Tokyo, Yokohama. Then her husband died in an accident or something else, and then she came back to Shillong. The story of Yakuja's mother. So here, the story of a matrilineal society and patrilineal society, two systems. And the son born and brought up over there in Japan, where it was a patrilineal society. Then suddenly he came back to Shillong, and it is a third world country. So his school friends, his classrooms, and all the things are like, to him, it is a second class all the facilities. So what kind of problems he had to face? And regarding language also, he was fluent only in Japanese, not even in English. And here he came to know about Hindi, English, and Khasi, 3 new languages he had to adopt. So what kind of problems he had to, faced. So this story, when I narrated the story to my Khasi friends, they always tell me, you just translate this one. Then I said that I cannot translate first one, I do not know Khasi. That is the main problem. So here is the importance of translation. So all my colleagues and their friends that saying, no, this is so important, we should know, you are writing about our society, but we don't know. Because local people, they're not in that sense, they're not coming to know all the things only either in English or in Khasi. So here is the problem of translation. And regarding other thing also, I just will say, translation what is? One is source language, one is target language. So one must be equally, very much strong on the source language and on the target language. But another problem is also there, dialect versus language. So what is the criteria of a language or dialect? The only one criteria or universally recognized criteria is that should be mutually intelligible. When they are suppose the dialect of Khasi, Nongstoyan dialect, Riboy dialect, or whatever, Clariat dialect, Joai dialect, whatever it may be. So actually, ultimately, though it is Jaintia they call, but ultimately in the same language group. But maximum they are mutually intelligible. That's why they belong to the same language. The language is called Khasi. Garo same, Bengali same, English same, French same. But what about Norwegian, Danish, and Swedish? 3 languages according to the World Language Chart. But 3 languages of the 3 countries, Scandinavian countries, they're totally mutually intelligible. Actually, they belong to the same language. Then how to translate from Norwegian to Danish, or Danish to Swedish? We cannot translate. The same thing only, dialectical variations only. One problem. Another problem, from dialect to language. Suppose I have written a story there, I just used a particular dialect because the person belongs to Muslim community and uneducated. When I wrote this one, when my readers are maximum are educated, urban, Hindu, when they came to know about the story, they gave me a call and they told that we do not understand all these words. They belong to the same dialect speech community. Then I came to know, oh, this is the problem. Why? Because that particular dialect speaker belong to a particular religion, profession is particular, and education, there's no education. So while translating, we must follow the others, not only the target language, because the others' culture, religion, background, and history. Without knowing all these 4 things, the translation will be a mere translation, will be a lifeless translation. That is very much important.
Do you wish to add something to that based on what Mr. Kashi has said?
Yes. When we talk about the strategies that one adopts while translating, I think I would like to highlight the prerequisites of a good translator. So here we have to first understand the motive behind translation. Why are we translating a text? It is because we need to be understood, right? So I think in order to understand the text, we also need to understand the context in the original language, because without understanding the context, I think it is basically pointless. The essence itself is lost. There is no valid point to the translation. And also, translation can bring about costly mistakes if it is inaccurate. So literal translations don't always work. So in order to bridge the gap, we cannot always translate word to word. We always have to understand the context first, use suitable synonyms, and bring about the translation without altering the meaning. It is very important to understand that literal translations are never the way. And also, a good reader needs to be fluent in both the languages, the original as well as the target language. To be a good translator means also to be a good reader. I think we also have to grasp the vocabulary in both the languages. We have to learn as much as we can so that, we can always substitute words wherever necessary, identify the points wherever it is needed, give more examples, and set the context of the translation. And also, we also have to understand that no matter how fluent one is at a certain language or at both in either of the language, we will always face lack of vocabulary in either, because we always have a lot of words that have been adopted from other languages. So no language that we speak right now in the contemporary times is 100% accurate. For example, there are so many words in the Garo language that have been adopted from the Bengali language. So we say words like golmal gondogol, halagula. These are words that have been adopted from Bengali. If I have to describe violence and unrest in Garo, I will always prefer saying golmal gondogol. All the Garos here, all the Garos that are there will always understand. We don't always use the words that are there in our language because we have adopted words from other languages. And also for English, there are words in the Garo language that we don't even use because we are so used to using the words in English. I think it is not just with the Garo language here. I think a lot of people will agree. What do you call mobile phones in your language? What do you call television in your language? Toilets, dustbins. We all explicitly use English for it, right? So in Garo, we have words for mobile phones. We call it kubelbat. We have words for television. We call it bayrong. We have words for toilets. We call it kaldak. We have words for dustbin. We call it kalbong. But if I were to use that in translation, nobody would bother understanding. My fellow Garo people will not understand. So for that, I can never use 100% translation. I always have to use the English words for it. And also, we always have to understand the difference between the oral and the written language, because most of the times we have to use formal language for translation. We cannot use informal languages and informal language in writing. I think it is also very important that in written we know the spellings, the correct words, the correct language, and so as to be spontaneous in the translation. If based on the original text, we use the target language to expand its vocabulary and to make it more intelligible for the readers and for the target audience. And also, like Sir Kashinath Chakraborty said, we have to respect the integrity of the original language. If we follow all these requisites of a good translation, our translation will be a cut above the rest. Thank you.
I think the two of the panelists, they have covered much of the points that I'm supposed to say. But in addition to that, I just would like to add that, yes, there are a lot of issues and problems when we do indulge ourselves in the translation work. According to me, first of all, the primary requisite for anybody who would like to do translation is training, which normally we don't have professionals in the field, as far as the translation from English or from other languages into Khasi is concerned. We don't have, we do have those kind of courses, but as of now, the kind of transaction that is going on and all that, the translation that is going on and all that, is all by the untrained people, so to say. Some of them, of course, they are trained, but a majority of us who do translation, including those people who are in the media houses and all that, they are doing it just by, their own self-experience. So I think that is one thing. You see, when we talk about translation, there are basically three things that we get indulged into. One is the translation per se, the other one is the transliteration, and the other one is the transcreation, which you cannot translate, but you have to transcreate. Now, coming to Khasi language, I mean, translation from either English or other languages into Khasi language has got some issues, particularly because we do not have the equivalent terms or words for many of the terms that are used in English in particular. For example, recently I am encountered with a question. One of my friends, I think you must be knowing him, he is DG Nong Klau. He is staying there in Nong Tamai. He used to write a lot of books and all that. Then he is asking me, what is the Khasi word for the word identity? Identity in English has got a lot of meaning. But he would like to get the meaning in Khasi in the terms that we use it as a political vocabulary, national identity or a Khasi identity. So what kind of word shall we use? Then another friend is asking me, I would like to translate the word communism into Khasi, which is very, very difficult. How will you translate communism into Khasi? I mean, these are the terms and terminologies which are there, but which finds it very difficult to get, I mean, we find it very difficult to get an equivalent term as far as Khasi language is concerned. On top of that, you see, there are, there is a gap, I would like to say, between the main Khasi language and the other local dialects that we have here. Because in Khasi, we have this Sora language as the Khasi language, where we use as the medium of instruction, because it has come all the way by the work of the British and all of that. So we have accepted that as a Khasi language, which is basically Sora dialect. But now we don't get access to all those dialects which are spoken across the Khasi and Jaintia Hills. If we can get access to that, then it can also enrich this culture of doing translation work and all that. For example, another friend of mine, he has introduced the translation work where he takes the help from the local dialect. For example, the word petroleum. How will you translate the word petroleum into Khasi language? Very difficult. So this guy, what he is doing is that he is taking the Amwi language from Jaintia Hills, where he says this petroleum, it comes from the word petra and lium. Petra which means rock, lium means oil. So he is using this the War Jaintia dialect, where he is translating petroleum into musuj mo. Okay, musuj means umpniang, mo means mao. So it's like petra, where you have rock, and then lium is oil. So in that way, he is using some other local dialects to enrich the Khasi language. For example, you said that you have got words for mobile in Garo, and the other, these terms that come up nowadays with technology and all that. In Khasi also, they have tried to bring the translation. For example, for mobile in Khasi, they call nabdia. For computer, they say corputer. Core means like an engine. Pu means pule. Tar means thotar. So it is an engine where you can read and write. So in that way, they are trying to bring by bringing this coinage. So we have to invent, we have to coin certain words so that we can bring the translation. Even for social media, also somebody is doing the translation now. They call it the pathai parya, social media. So in that way, they are trying to bring this coinage. I mean, they coin terms and terminologies to bring translation. But these are the issues and the problems that we encounter when we really do the translation. Be that as it may, what I would like to suggest is that when we want to do translation, as Madam has rightly pointed out, we first of all need to understand the text, the context, and the original meaning of the work, without which we will not be able to go ahead with translation. And despite all the shortcomings that we may have, we should start. Because if you look at the Khasi language, when I'm talking about Khasi language, I'm talking about the written literature. Written literature, basically it started only in 1841. Before that started, because the translation work, the Khasi language began by a translation, and it began with the work of William Carey, where he translated the Bible, basically the New Testament. He translated into Khasi using the Bengali script. Because that time Thomas June has not come. We didn't have the alphabets also. They have translated the Bible into Khasi through Bengali script. Then Thomas June came. Then the first word of translation into Khasi using the Roman script was by Thomas June only in 1841, where he translated the Lord's Prayer. Kajing duwai utrai. At that time, there were so many problems. Alphabets also not yet formed. But he made an attempt. But he get it improved by the time. So when we want to do translation, once we get the meaning, once we understand the context, we should go ahead despite all these limitations, and we can improve by time. So this is so much for now, and then maybe we can share later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A lot of inputs. This whole idea of, as we've mentioned, some of the challenges, especially by Airpiece has pointed out. And I'd like to delve a little bit more into that, because there are many challenges, right, for translation. I mean, we've hinted a little bit about it. He has specifically mentioned that there are certain untranslatable things. So what other challenges do you think, particularly in translation, crop up from Bengali to English or vice versa into any regional language?
What Professor Rani said, I am just agreed with him. That is the most important thing, that we should know the proper way or science of translation. I already narrated that when I did my master's in linguistics from Guwahati University, we had a full paper, 100 marks, and the name of the paper was translation. So the paper was so important, that's why at that time there was no semester system, so we had 8 papers, 400 in previous year and 400 in final year. So out of 800 marks, the authority or the UGC or Guwahati University in linguistics department, they had selected only, one full paper, 100 marks for translation. Why I am narrating this one? Because the translation is not very easy task. What he said, we need trainer, we need a proper training. But what kind of, you said about the challenges. The challenges, actually, the problem is now it is very, what to say, now majority people are very literate. Everywhere you will get educationists, historians, scientists for Facebook and WhatsApp University. So, and from YouTube. So now people have become a translator also. Many translation works are going on here and there, here and there. And in Shillong also I came to know, I saw, but without any proper knowledge of translation. Naida's theory is there, suppose, one big theory of Naida's on translation. So they should know from a proper school should be there, where they should get the training. After getting the training, only you can go for translation. But the main problem is, nowadays, is without any proper knowledge on translation, without any proper guidance, without any proper thing, people are translating, and that's why it is a very dangerous thing. Suppose why I am telling, sir, suppose sex dialect, so many kind of dialects, regional dialect, professional dialect, religious dialect, caste dialect, even sex dialect. So in Burmese language, there is sex dialect. The particular dialect or particular line of a dialect will be used by female, is forbidden for male, and while male will use, is forbidden for female. So, while translating, without knowing that social system, if I translate, then it will be a blunder. So, who will know? Only those who are trained translators. They will know the background. That's why when I say it, I already told that we must know the culture, the background, the history of a particular target language or source language. Then we can translate. It is not mere translation, that from Bible to Bible, Gita to Gita, not like that only, no. So with that only we will come to know only through proper scientific training. And without proper scientific training, if we work for translation, that will be the main essence of the main source language will not be conveyed through the translator to the target language. So that is most important thing. That's why I am agreed with you. That is very, very important.
I think I would like to resonate on what they both have said. Translation is not a piece of cake. We have to understand that sometimes the sentence order also changes. For example, for most of the sentences in English, usually the Garo sentence will start in reverse. If you say the sun rises in the east, if you translate that to Garo, it will start with in the east the sun rises. So that way it makes more sense. And also we have a lot of terms for which we don't have so to say subterms. For example, insects. Any insect in Garo is joong. we don't have words for specific words for the species, for most of the species of the insects. I think the coinage is very important here. For example, working with NESFAS, I have learned that the chrome borer in taro plants, we have coined a term for the chrome borer, which is known as jongbu. Now, it's not just another joong or insect. We have a specific term for it. I think more of such terms need to be coined for specific words. And also, the problem with Garo translation, like Sir said, anybody is doing translation. That is very true. It irks me when I pass through the streets of the town and I see big billboards and posters, and the spellings are all haphazard, and we have something called the middle dot, which is known as raka. Nowadays, people don't even know where and when to put the raka. The raka is there to denote a stress. For example, CHAA. If it is without that middle dot, it is known as cha. If we have the middle dot, we call it cha'a. You understand people can understand why the stress is put. It differentiates. Nowadays, people don't even know where and when to put this middle dot. So I think in order to address these problems, it is very important that more focus is laid on local stories, understanding of the traditions, and I think the state syllabus should also cover more of the local stories, because people are done learning about polar bears and snow in a place where we don't have snow and polar bear. I think more focus needs to be laid on the fact that we have our own orchids, our red pandas, our langurs, our hulok gibbons. If we understand the local context, and I think if we understand the local culture, I think translation will be easier, and if not is exact, I think it will be quite easier to be tackled with.
I just want to share one funny thing. When I was a student at that time, my sir, late Professor Rohini Kumar Monto, who studied in Oxford, and sir actually said all the things. So in Chinese language is a tonal language. So very difficult while translating tonal language. And so one British officer, he went to China. He had a first anthropologist or kind of thing only. Then one day he studied over there only, or did work in Beijing University, and almost he was fluent in Chinese. So one day he just asked his fellow teacher, in Chinese, that you please bring your mother tomorrow for lunch. The next day the Chinese counterpart went over there only with the horse. Then he thought that, okay, he came with the horse, but where is the mother? He was looking at, then where is your mother? He said, yeah, he's here only. Then how come this is the horse? That, yeah, you said to bring ma. Then what? Suppose the word ma, if you change the tone, the meaning will be changed. Ma, from low to high, ma, high to low. Then ma, long, ma. 4 meanings. One is mother, one is horse, other 2 actually I forgot. So while translating, if we do not know the tonal language, or if we do not have the knowledge of the tonal language, so instead of translate the word ma, that his mother died, we just will, if we do not use that particular thing properly, then it will be conveyed that his horse died. Thank you.
So in addition to what we have said and already shared by our panelists also, with reference to the Khasi language, with reference to the translation into Khasi language, I must confess the fact that the Khasi literature is very young, because as of now, written literature is only 180 years old. So 180 years old, we have tried our best to furnish the spellings, the standardization of words and all of that. But then till today, let me tell you, we have not been able to do that standardization for the spelling of the Khasi words, terms, vocabularies, and when we talk about spelling, it's not only about spelling. When we talk about the connection of words, okay? Like for example, I'll give you nalor kata. Nalor kata, is it one word or nalor and kata? You see, over and above. For example, however, in English, however is one word. How and ever is joined. In Khasi, however, is lakumno kumno. Is lakumno kumno 2 words or 1 word? So these are issues that we have in Khasi language. So we are very young as a written language. So therefore we are still to furnish, we are still to develop, and we are making attempts. And currently, Abner, you must be knowing, there is a scheme, there is the initiative from the district council, where we will be having, the project is on. KS has taken that project, the Khasi Author Society, where they are trying to compile a more comprehensive Khasi dictionary. We have got Khasi dictionary started by Father Ivas, then Nisor Singh, then Kimba Ibla, and many more dictionaries have come into the market. Okay, but the first one was with Father Ivas, then Nisor Singh and all that. But now, the latest one and the most comprehensive one that may come, basically is with this one that will be coming out very soon, perhaps, when the job is done, as it was taken out by the Khasi Author Society. That is one. Another one that I would like to share here regarding the problems is this. When we want to do translation, we must be very clear. Why do we have to do the translation? What to translate, and who will do the translation? So these 3 questions have to be answered first. What should we translate? So if you look all over the years, what are the books, or what were the books that we have translated? Books that we have translated, they are like, for example, it began with the Bible. It began with the Bible. So that translation has become very successful. Why? Because the Bible becomes the book of everybody. That means there is no problem for the market. And the purpose is also there, because people, because this Christianity, the preaching of the gospel and all that, they need the Bible. So at the end of the day, you will have to give the Bible to the people so that they can read. So it began with the Bible. It began with those Scott Tikir, and then of course that what was done by Thomas Jones and the others. Then later the Khasi people entered into the world of translation. First among the Khasis who entered into the world of translation was Babu Susotham. Then what book he translated? He brought that Duitara, many English poetries for the kids and all that he translated, and then that book became like a celebrated one among the Khasi people. Then he translated Aesop fables, very famous stories. So those books, they entered into the syllabus. So they, the person who translated it has got a purpose. The education is, of course, the main purpose here, and it entered into the school syllabus and all that. So there is no issue for the market. So therefore, now when you want to do translation, first of all, you should know what you should translate and why do you want to do that translation. So that, when you translate, at the end of the day, you should find the market. If you don't get the market, then at the end of the day, you will be demotivated, and then at the end of the day, it will not serve your purpose also. Translation for the sake will not help. So therefore, we should be very clear, why do we translate and what kind of books we should translate. Latest development about Khasi translation, I'll share it with you. For example, Baal Edgepre and Kong S. Dekhar, they have done a marvelous thing. They have translated Mahabharata. This is a very famous book among the Hindu believers and all that. So Khasi people also, they have to get that book, which is a very important book, a classic text. So they have done that. Then, another one, the latest one, I think if I'm not mistaken, Kong Badap, she has translated a book from a very famous novel among the, in Africa. The name of the book is Things Fall Apart. Then she translated into Khasi La Pralut Baro, which is very famous. So one day such kind of novels and all that, it may enter into the syllabus, and it may, serve the purpose of really passing the message of what is being written in that novel. So things like that have been done. And then one of the famous translators among the Khasi people is FMPU. Mr. FMP, if you must be doing. I have got the book with me here, but I'll not read. He has translated many English novels into Khasi, and then all of those novels, they have entered into the school and college syllabus. So in that way, then the purpose is served because there is a wider circulation of the work done, and then those works also have got values. So I think to continue the trend, we should continue with this translation work, because as of now, we used to have best-selling books in the world. There are so many best-selling books in the world. For example, if you look at the book written by Noah Yuval Harari currently, like for example, Sapiens, History of Humankind, 21st Lessons for the 21st Century, those are books which are very renowned. So if we can get those kind of books translated into Khasi also, maybe perhaps we will get the market, and it may also help in serving the purpose of sharing the knowledge that has been written in those books. So what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to convey is that translation has got technical issues and also has got some issues with regard to the financial aspect. Where will you get the money? Who will publish? Who will be your buyers? Whether you will have the market or not? Whether you want to really, whether you can pass that message or not through those kind of books. So these are the issues that we are entangling, and I think we must be very careful also when we take a decision in doing translation. Thank you.
That's a very interesting last point that was made by Mr. Epis. I mean, there is this question though that should only texts that sell be translated? Because in that sense, we are, it'll be ideas generally that are mainstream, ideas that are in that sense safe. Because nobody, I'm thinking as somebody, particularly as a government, let's say, translation of controversial things will not be promoted, right? Especially in our country, let's face it. So it's something that there's a danger there, though, also, because then we will end up not translating certain things which might actually be improving people's minds, right? Like whether it's on different political ideas, different cultural tropes, or different cultural topics. So is there not a danger, though, that since Mr. Epis has raised that market we should look at, and I agree with you, but is there also not a danger that we would be translating only very, very safe ideas into our languages?
Yeah, danger, or I would like to use the word sensitive. So suppose in India, so many political parties are there, their ideologies are different, and so many, in our language, separatist organizations are there. In my language, it will be separatist. In other part, nationalist. So how can I translate? But I just think that in a free society, it should be translated. We should know each other's opinion. We should know the opinion of a particular state or people who are not trying to be with us. We should know them. We can address them. We cannot suppress them. But at the same time, the minus side is also there. Suppose if they get all the things are very popular, then public support, then maybe their movement one day will be a threat for the Indian safety, security, unity. So that is a controversial topic. So in that sense, it is very common that translators generally, they will avoid all the things and are avoiding. Exceptions always are there, like the writer Arundhati Roy. So Arundhati Roy is a very controversial writer because when she went to Kashmir, she met with the separatist leaders and she conveyed her thought. She supported also them. Again, she went to the Mao-dominated Chhattisgarh area in central India, and she just conveyed their problems, their ideology, their thought, their talk, everything. So very few people also are there, and her thing is that she believes in freedom of speech and freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of all the things. So majority people definitely will not go. Suppose if I just go and support and want to publish something, suppose if there is a book published already in Kashmir, by the separatist. I just use the term separatist because I believe that India should be in, Kashmir should be in India. But on the other hand, some people, they are not considering this one also. Like in northeastern India also, same thing happens in some states or some people. So while I just will, definitely I will not be very cautious regarding translating this one. But at the same time, I thought and I feel that no, we should know each other's opinion. We cannot suppress it. So ultimately the rules, it will be governed by the rule and society, the constitution, the who are in the power, which political party, how much freedom they will give, how much freedom we will get. All the equations are there. Thank you.
I stand by the fact that all texts need to be translated for the mere fact that every voice needs to be heard. Also, there is I do not believe in sellability, because I think if we are able to market our books, approach the right have the right resources, I have seen that a lot of below average books also sell really well. All the books these days we see on the bookstalls are all bestsellers, bestsellers, bestsellers. If we happen to read them, I find some of them really boring. I mean, like, those are not stuffs I would like to read. And a lot of people who read my genre would also agree with. So where is the fact that it is a bestseller? I think like a lot of stuffs that are really good are still not translated. And so I would like to say that, you know, the how you approach your book or how you approach your translation also has to do a lot with how much you sell the book. Suppose if you approach the right people, if you approach the right reviewers who will review the books on Amazon, on Goodreads, on Instagram, you will have a bigger reach and you will have a more sellability. And so that also can become a bestseller. So how do books become bestsellers even though they write below average stuff? It all has to do with marketing, right? So I think if given the right marketing strategy, everything can become bestsellers, irrespective of whether it is good or bad. I think it also has to do with people's opinions, and also like when we market books, I think we're not just looking at reviews here. I think we can also approach magazines and also newspapers, radio programs, maybe like book fairs as such. And also I think there are a lot of paid and free options, collaborations. So what we read and what we always capture need not always be a bestseller. So I think I would like to stand by the fact that every voice needs to be heard, all information needs to be known, and so all texts need to be translated.
Yes, thank you, Abner, for raising this question. That yes, you know, I also stand by the fact that we should support the translation of every text, despite the fact that they may not be that so popular, they may not be in the circulation market and all that. So that right has to be protected at all costs. We should encourage people to do that translation and all of that. But I'm putting things from the perspective of the market and the financial problems that we may have when we write books or we translate books. If we happen to translate those books which are very popular, then there is a chance of you getting the market very easily. But when you write those books which you may not get the attention of the public, then perhaps your publication may not be a waste, but will not be circulated so fast among the general public. So I'm looking from that perspective. But as far as the right to translate, it should be encouraged, and everybody should enjoy that right, and of course should be promoted also. However, I would like to give a suggestion that even the government also should step in and intervene in providing some kind of assistance to the translators, especially perhaps with regard to the government documents where people they should get access. Okay. So every document, every policy document of the government, you know, should not be only in English or Hindi, but it should be in the languages where people can understand. That is really very important, because there are so many people. They may be graduate holders, but sometimes they are not very comfortable with English, so to say. Especially those who do not have that good command over the language and all that, they prefer to read in Khasi. If you look at some people in Meghalaya here, those who go to the church, you just have a practical observation. You will find there are some of them who prefer to carry the English Bible to the church, and there are some who would prefer to read this Khasi version of the Bible. So it depends on what kind of taste, what kind of orientation they have. So what I'm trying to say is that all important documents, policy documents of the government, rules, acts and all that, as far as possible, it should be translated into the different languages that people could understand, which will help in a big way. And for that matter, there should be some sort of a policy from the government to encourage the translators when they undertake certain kind of work, projects in doing translation that will matter to the schools, to the colleges, or to the for the public interests at large. That is important. Now I would like to add one more point here. When we talk about translation, let us not confine only to books. Translation can be in different forms. Like for example, nowadays, translation is happening even in the form of the media channels. I've seen some private channels in the YouTube where many of the news items that they publish, it is only translation. They have got so amazing news, capturing across the globe. So they present that in Khasi. So that is actually translation, and they got good viewership. I've seen some channels they base on translation, and in fact many of the more than half of the newspapers in Khasi, they are based only on translation. They are not the direct media reporters and all that. News across the globe, national news, they are there in Khasi, but they are all taken from the other sources and get them translated. So translation does not end only in books, but it can be in different fora and different mediums. So I think these forums may be different, but at the end of the day, the technicalities, the problems will be the same. However, despite of all these challenges, I would like to encourage that let us go ahead, let us do translations for the sake of our audience, our viewers, or our readers. So that I would like to add, Abner. Thank you.
Okay, so I have one final question. Can you share any examples of some texts which you have read that come to your mind, which of translations, which recently you've picked up? Have there been any such joys in your life?
From Bengali too, or from other?
Whichever. I mean, in English.
Yeah. So already these things are translated. I just wanted, because one point was raised over there only, like market. So if everything is market related, then it will be a very dangerous thing. Because suppose you see, Jivanananda Das in Bengali literature, after Rabindranath Tagore, is considered one of the best, prominent, powerful writer. But at his time, when he was alive, he was not recognized, and he was a very shy person, a professor in English. So there was no market in that way. When he was alive, he had no market. When he died with a tram accident in Calcutta in 1953, after that, some of collections was published in Bengali, and later it was translated into English, into French, into German, into other languages. Now it is considered. So I just wanted to narrate this one. Why? Suppose now Jivanananda Das has a big market. If you want to translate also, I'll get publisher. But what about when he was alive? Leo Tolstoy, 9 times he was denied the Nobel Prize in literature. But how can I deny? How many we can recall all the lists of the Nobel laureates? I don't know. But I know the name of Leo Tolstoy, the author of Anna Karenina, War and Peace. These are epic, but he was denied. Mahatma Gandhi was denied the Nobel in Peace. So many people, I just don't want to name, people got Nobel Peace Prize. But Gandhi was denied. I am Maybe I do have a different political ideology with Gandhi, but Gandhi is Gandhi. So that's why if everything is related to market, then the great literature will be denied in translation also. And in India, another thing is also there, that I just diverting this one only, no, I'm not diverting, I think, a little bit different. In India, another thing is also there. Suppose there is we do not have any national language, but it is promotes everywhere that we have a national language. We do not have a national language. And we should remember, India is a multilingual country. And we should remember the example of the East Pakistan and West Pakistan. When Pakistan was formed on the basis of religion, who was the first Governor General, Mr. Jinnah, though he was very modern. After a few months, he went to the headquarters of the East Pakistan, the present day, the capital of Dhaka. And probably on 23rd March, 1948, he announced in a public meeting, gathering a huge public gathering, that Urdu, no other language other than Urdu, will be the state language of Pakistan. Then there was a repercussion over there. After 3 days, there was a convocation in Dhaka University, in Karjan Hall. Again, he raised the same thing, that Urdu and Urdu shall be the state language of Pakistan. Then some students from the backside, they said, no, no, no. Then Jinnah thought some young students from that side also, or maybe they're Indian spy, because at that time they said that they're pro-Hindu and Indian spies. He never thought. He died on 11th September 1948 after a few months. But we know the consequences. The country was partitioned on 14th August 1948 on the basis of religion. That very country was again divided on the basis of language. So language is more important than religion. Both are sensitive, but language is more sensitive. So that's why also why I'm telling this one, in India, if some languages or language groups or whatever may be, get all government supports for translation works and all the thing, and other are denied, then also there will be a problem of unity in India. It's a very sensitive issue. And we know that sometimes only, particularly Tamil Nadu, whenever there is an imposition of a particular language, Hindi, then first state, Tamil Nadu, they just stood up. Since 1962, it is going on. So while translation also, we should consider the marginalized speech community people like Khasi, Garo, Shautal, Kokborok, very small speech community. Khasi is a strict language group. It's a very unique group, surrounded by all non-strict. Like here, Assamese, that side is Bangladesh, belongs to Indo-European language family. Garo, Sino-Tibetan language family. So it's a unique character, Khasi, as a language. Belongs to Mon-Khmer language family, linguistic family. So we should promote this. We should try to develop this. And we should translate Khasi literature, Garo literature, Kokborok, Ao literature, Apatani literature for the mainstream. So that mainstream people should know that in northeastern India, people are not from China or Mongolia or Philippines or Vietnam or Laos. Their facial appearance may be same, but they have a distinct culture, language, identity, and they're very much Indian. So through translation, we can do that one.
My question was actually different. Maybe I didn't phrase it properly, but has there been a book which you read recently in translation which you enjoyed, and would you like to share the name?
Yeah. So actually just now I cannot recall the book. Actually, I'm not, yeah, I used to read. I don't say that but so many books I've written, so on particular what book, some books are there only, always they just spark on the mind only. In Bengali also, like in Assamese also, very recently, I'm just doing a particular work on an Assamese literature, and that is the book written by Birendra Kumar Bhattacharya, a great Assamese writer, and he got Gyanprit, the highest literary award in literature in India, in 1979 for the book. The novel, the name of the novel was Mrityunjay, on 1940, based on the 1942 Quit India movement. So it was translated into Bengali, okay? And the Bengali was also got the Sahitya Academy Award, translated by Dr. Usha Ranjan Bhattacharya from Guwahati. But the same author had written another book. The name of the book is Iaru Ingom. It was not translated. So very recently, I'm just thinking that if I get a chance, I would like to translate that one. Why Iaru Ingom? It is a Naga word. When the author was in Ukrul district of Manipur, and this story is also based, or novel is also based on the Indian freedom movement. There was parallel two freedom movements in Nagaland. One is dominant. That is, they wanted to get rid of the British colonial rule, but not to India, to become a part of India, to sovereign Nagaland. Another group, though very small, one boy, Naga boy, he went to Calcutta for studying over there only, and he came to know about the Asahयोग movement, or led by Mahatma Gandhi, the non-violent movement, and he became a Gandhian. While he came back to Nagaland, he just conveyed the message of Mahatma Gandhi, and he said that no, we cannot survive as a free Nagas country because we are surrounded by China, Myanmar, and India over there only. So we must be a part of India. Though his voice, or the particular voice of this group, was not dominant. So after the Manipur incident, when I came to know about how Kuki people, they just came from Myanmar side to this side only, when Myanmar was also a part of British. All people were British, under British colony we were. Then on what historical context, Britishers, they just brought them to Chin people over there only, in between all these things. There was a big equation. After this incident, when I came to know all the things, then I just thought that, okay, we must, other people, those who do not know Assamese, they should know the story of Iaru Ingom, because then from this kind of problem was started before independence. So it is very much relevant. So this book nowadays, if you say, then my answer is Iaru Ingom by Birendra Kumar Bhattacharya in Assamese.
So yeah, that's actually a better question. Any book which you would like to translate into Garo, into Khasi? That is actually a better question.
I don't actually have a. I think I just experienced short-term memory loss because I cannot recall the books I would love to translate. I think that would be Harry Potter for me. Okay, but I think I would also like to share translation works which remain my all-time favorites, which are worth mentioning. Those would be the translated works of Haruki Murakami in English, Norwegian Wood, and Kafka on the Shore. Other than that, I also love the Garo translations of the Arabian Nights and the Aesop's Fables. And also, I also love the translated works of Rabindranath Tagore, particularly the Postmaster, which I recently read. Other than that, I also love some of the folklores of the Garos, which have also been translated to English. The compiled works, the title is Machadu Machabet. So it is about the clouded leopards. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
I think we are also coming to the last part. I'll just share in brief. The last book that I have read, the translated book in Khasi, last book that I have read, not the recent one, of course, the last book, is a book on Sadhu Sundar Singh. I happened to read that book because I knew about Sadhu Sundar Singh and his story and all that. But then I never knew that it is there in Khasi. So, we talk among our friends and all that. So let's say maybe we can translate this work and all of that. But then when I do the research, I found that there are two books on him. One translated by Professor S.S. Majau, and the other one translated by Ba'dos Roy or something. I got both copies with me. So that was the book that I read. This is about the Sikh man, Sadhu Sundar Singh from Punjab, who accepted Jesus Christ because of the revelation that he got and all of that. And then because he came from this Sikh stubborn family, then he was given the punishment and all of that. Then he accepted Christ and he left family, then he went to Tibet and all that, and he died. So he is also known as the apostle of the bleeding feet, that we all know about the story of Sadhu Sundar Singh. That was the last book that I read, and I happened to read with a purpose because I thought that there is no translation into Khasi language, so we would like to have it one, but then it's already there. that is there. So is there a book that you would like to get it translated? As I have already shared it with you from the beginning. The process is on. I am translating the sixth schedule. Of course, it is not a book, but it is part, an important piece of the Constitution of India, which we would like to have it in Khasi. Of course, I have also talked to my friends that if possible, uh, if we can get the Bible translated into Khasi, if we can get the Mahabharata translated and other books, why not the Constitution of India itself? So I think we should take an effort to get this very important book of the country translated into our language that is there. And then another offer is there. One of my colleagues from Shillong College, Bakolan Jones Dingdo, he brought a book to me. I forgot the name of the book, but it is dealing with the classical writers on literature, like Aristotle, Plato. They have involved a lot in literature. There is that book in English, and he gave it to me also. I didn't take the book because he asked me to translate that book because it is very important for the degree students, even for the postgraduate students who pursue Khasi literature. They would like to have that in Khasi. So I told him, as of now, my plate is full. I'll not be able to do it. But that is an offer. Maybe we can, look into it in the future. This is what I can share at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a very enlightening panel, and I was happy to hear a lot of things that were discussed. And I hope that since now we know each other, there can be collaborations here happening from Bangla into Khasi, from Khasi into Garo, Garo into Bangla, so on and so forth. I hope that this is just the beginning. And we thank NBT for making this happen. And I'm hoping that even when they're gone, we can continue the process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, panel, for letting us know how much of regional language is translated into major works and how much of it is required, for shedding light on that. And we would like to, NBT would like to honor you with a couple of books from our end as a token of appreciation. Sir, to Dr. A.W. Rani. Please have a round of applause for the wonderful session and for our panelists. Then we have Miss Nora. You can all have her look at her books, 90 Seasons, which is displayed on the table and right in front of the stage. She's the author of that book. And to Professor Kashinath Chakrabarti. And thank you, Avner, for being there. Thank you so much, panel, for such a wonderful discussion.